Alright, so here's my deep freeze that I have. It's a Whirlpool Deep Freeze, and let me show you the issue that I'm having. So when it's plugged in, and the light in here does not work. And it's not the bulb, the issue is the wiring. So back here, this cable here is what gives power for the interior light and for this little LED out here. So the freezer works perfectly fine, just those lights don't work. So what I did is I removed this plug, and what I noticed is that here it basically has broken off from it just opening and closing for 9 years. This part here just broke off, so this contact no longer exists, which is what's causing the issue. So I looked online to find this part, and I cannot find it. You can buy the whole harness, which is this wiring, the wiring that goes to the AC outlet, and a bunch of wires underneath, and it's like $100 for it. It's like $97 or something, and I don't want to buy that. So, and then if you look here, this is what the plug looks like, right? So it's a weird 3 connector, the middle's the ground, and you can tell that 2 of them are closer together than the other ones, right? Alright, so I decided that I'm going to try, I couldn't find the part by itself. I did order something that might work, that might be able to plug into here, that I should arrive tomorrow. It's similar to this, not exact, on one side, and the other side has just a regular 3-prong plug. So I could try that, but it might stick out too much, and then when you open it, it might hit this when this rotates out. So what I'm going to try first is I'm going to try to solder this together. So I'm going to go in with an X-Acto knife, clean this off here and see if I can see the contacts, and if I can, then I'll try to solder this together, and then maybe wrap it with electrical tape, and then put it here, and then see if that holds, because that doesn't cost me anything here, and I can try that first. And if that doesn't work, then maybe I can try the adapter that I purchased. So that's what I'll do next. Okay, I dug in there a little bit with an X-Acto knife and some pliers, and I was able to see the copper on the other side. So I'm going to try to solder it together and see what happens. Alright, so I attempted to solder the existing wire, and I wasn't successful because there wasn't enough in there to connect them together. So what I did is I got a piece of heavy gauge electrical wire here. I think it was about 70 cents a foot. I just bought like 1.5 feet, I think. And then I cut into the rubber casing, and I was able to find the copper in there, and then I soldered it together. It has a little bit of cleanup to do, but overall it's soldered. And I used, let's see, rosin core, I think it's rosin core or rosin core solder, which is made for electrical connections, and so that worked really well, and it still has some flexibility without it coming off. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to try to insulate this a bit. So I have some liquid electrical tape, so I thought that could be a good thing to paint it on both sides and put a few layers on it to protect this. And I already tested with my little tester here to make sure that none of the connections are hitting each other, and they're all separate for the power and the ground in the middle. So that's going to be my next step, and then after that I can splice the other end back onto the freezer. Okay, so finished the first coat of the liquid electric tape, and it takes about 5 minutes to dry. So I put a coat on the back, waited 5 minutes, put a coat on the front, and then I'm going to apply a second coat and possibly a third to thicken that up a bit, and then we'll see what it looks like and whether I need to put any electrical tape or anything else on there. Okay, so I put a few more coats of the electrical tape. It was great, the liquid electrical tape. I made a nice thick layer in here. I felt it was a little bit soft still, so I grabbed some of my, what is it called? It's a rescue tape that I had here also, which kind of fuses together. And I put a layer of that on the outside here just to make it a little bit tougher when it bends. It doesn't move as much. So I think both of those things will work well for this. So next we're going to try it and see if it actually works. Okay, so here we are. This now can plug into here. Fine. This connection is really nice and solid. I cut the cable down here. So this is a new cable that I put in. 70 cents a foot, I think it was. Here's the existing cable that I cut it a little bit lower, so I had a little more room to work with. Spliced it on both sides. I did my soldering on both sides. And now what I'll do is I'll use the same liquid cement, put some of that on both sides, put maybe like 3 coats of it, and then this should be good to go. Okay, so I ended up having to modify this slightly. I had the liquid rubber, liquid electrical tape in here, and with a little bit of tape on the outside, but it ended up that the contacts touched each other, and it gave me a little spark. So I had to open that back up. Luckily, nothing blew when I did that, and it shorted for a split second. And what I did is I put tape on every specific line here, and then taped everything together. So, which is giving me a better connection. It seems like the liquid electrical tape stays a bit soft, and it wasn't a good choice to do that. So I did like this. I might get some insulation tape instead. Those are the ones you heat up, and I could change it and modify that. But that's there. Here I do have the liquid electrical tape. It's fine. It's not warm or anything, and I touch it and it's hard here. So this seems to be in good shape. And the deep freeze is working now. If I look in here, I also replaced the light with an LED light. These are LEDs, appliance LEDs, but they're 40. They're equivalent to 40 watts. And I think before I had a 15 watts. So now I actually have even better light inside. So seems like it works. It's been a couple of days now, and it's been working fine. So hope that's useful to someone. Thanks so much. Take care.